So everybody, today let's talk about the Arcam A5. Well, firstly, I thought I'd take you guys around a tour of the unit, front and back, and also kind of show you the menus. Around the front, of course, we've got 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. We've got our input selector. We also have our volume and mute, as well as if you hold it, it becomes your on and off switch, basically. Round back, you got your main power switch, you got your power jack here, you got a voltage selector, you have an update USB control port. Kind of looks like a phone jack, but it's not. It's actually to hook up with the matching streamer, and it allows both of the amplifier and streamer to function as one unit. You've got trigger ins and outs, as well as an IR extender. You got your digital inputs, 2 coax and 1 optical. You got 3 analog inputs, as well as your phono stage and grounding lug. You have a pre-out as well. Now, interestingly, one of these analog inputs can be configured as a processor input, basically meaning a power amp in. You also have your speaker binding post. Overall build quality of the unit is very, very lovely. About the only thing truly plastic on the unit is really this kind of back fairing or fin or whatever you want to call it. This is definitely plastic. And around the front, the outer edge is, I believe, plastic. Now the knobs themselves are actually aluminum. I took off the volume knob inadvertently, kind of pulling a little too hard, and actually it is a heavy piece of aluminum. So apart from the kind of the outer edge and obviously the front panel being plastic and this fairing, the whole thing is very nicely made, has a very nice solid feel to it. Anyway, let's look at the menus. So taking a look at the device, the way that it works is, of course, you select your input. Now, unlike some amplifiers where you might scroll to the input and then wait a few seconds and it'll select it, here you have to scroll to the input and then select it. You can also press and hold the input, and it allows you to rename the input. They give you some popular choices such as CD or your streamer or AV or whatever, blah, 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 blah. But that's how that works. And then from now on, analog 1 becomes net. All right, to access the menus, you use the remote. And there are 2 menus. Firstly, you have here with the kind of the musical note symbol that activates what they call the audio menu, which here we have audio output. We can select speakers, or you can pair up like a Bluetooth speaker or a set of Bluetooth headphones. And you press up and down to do that. Now, if we go down, you can select your balance. Of course, you can go left or right, and you can select that. You can also select DAC filter. You got a choice of 1, 2, or 3. All right, you can also select this, and it's for each individual digital input. You can select phase lock loop wide or standard. And you can do that for each individual input. And that is it for the audio menu. Now for the regular menu, you got the 3 dots. You got system settings, which is when you connect up the streamer, you can select which input it is connected to. You got your headphone override, which basically whether or not when you insert headphones, whether it turns the speakers on and off. There's your processor mode I already mentioned. One of the inputs in the back can be switched to one of the analog inputs and one of the digital inputs as well. Oh, come on. We also have processor volume. You can set the volume between 0 and 99 at what you want that processor input to be. And you have your on and off eco timer, IR code, software version, factory reset, software update. There you go. Now if we press it down, we can go to Bluetooth settings. And of course, how much you want the max volume Bluetooth to be, or of course, whether you want to be able to turn on the amplifier when you connect to it from a Bluetooth device, that sort of thing. You can also clear lists and that sort of thing. Now the way connecting to Bluetooth works is you basically just go to Bluetooth and it'll basically enter pairing mode, and you get on your device, find its Arcam A5, connect to it, and then Bob's your uncle. Anyway, so everybody, what do you think? I kind of want to do this review mostly in the realm of a pro and con. I did that with one of my last reviews, and I really liked the outcome. I liked the idea of what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it, instead of a straightforward kind of, well, this is what it sounds like. See what I mean? Anyway, let's get to it. The first pro has to be build quality. It's a very solid unit, very well put together. Everything just works. There's nothing finicky or funky or, it works great except for the input jacks kind of wiggle when you put stuff into them, that sort of thing. Build quality is very nice and very solidly made. The knobs have a nice tactile feel to them, very nice kind of weighted. Again, they do have kind of an aluminum setup. All the connections in the back kind of have a premium feel to it. When you stick things in and out of them, it feels like a very secure connection. Again, kind of a thing not necessarily people think about, but when you get a secure connection and you can feel the quality of the device, it's worthwhile. Another nice pro is, of course, the stability of it. You know, so oftentimes with certain amplifiers, they sound great, or they sound one way and then they change. And then there's sort of this flux of burn-in and kind of the amp solidifying its sound into something, into its final product. This thing, on the other hand, it has been rock steady the whole way through. I haven't noticed a tremendous sound quality difference between now and then. There has been a bit of burn-in, but again, that stability of performance has been just constant. And it's constant through the inputs as well. It works great on digital, works great on FM, works great on Bluetooth. We'll get to that. Yeah. Another great thing about it is going to be the Bluetooth. In my history reviewing products, not just now as audio review, but also as the shirtless audiophile, also as the budget audiophile, you'll remember that one of the products I reviewed a while back was the i5 Nano i1. And still to this day, I still believe it's one of my favorite, best sounding Bluetooth implementations that I've ever heard in terms of sound quality and just getting out of the way of the music and just sounding good, sounding pleasurable, right? This is right up there. It really is. The Bluetooth here was, I don't want to say I go into a product looking for the standout feature, but last few products I kind of have, and what really stood out to me here is going to be that Bluetooth. The Bluetooth just sounds fantastic. I would even go so far as to say I would purchase this solely for the Bluetooth. I mean, not even kidding, that's how good it sounds. Now I have a Google Pixel 7, and the Pixel 7 connects up with aptX HD, and it even has on the readout, it'll show aptX HD when you're connected to it that way. And it just sounds fantastic. It's very musical, very just pleasurable to listen to. You honestly there isn't a huge difference between that quality of Bluetooth and the analog inputs, in my opinion. It's really that good. Another pro really has to be the styling. This is a very lovely to look at piece. There's just a minimalist design. It's got a little British flag over here that you can barely see. The yellow, and then on the top model in the series, the A25, this yellow coloring is actually lights that light up, which is really cool. And then of course, let me grab it. Along the top with that yellow, you can see there. And it's way more visible in person than obviously this video is making it look. Along the sides, the yellow feet on the bottom. It is just cool looking. It's actually one of the coolest hi-fi pieces that I've seen in a while. And I really commend Arcam for their approach to sort of making a hi-fi piece that's stylish. All right, on to the cons. And sound quality is one of them. So I talked about the amp, the stability of performance, and that's true, but it always kind of has this sort of, to me, it kind of has this opaque sound, sort of a homogenization of the mid-range, particularly the mid-range, but also the highs. There seems to be sort of a murky cloud to the sound stage, and it hasn't opened up at all. I hate to say that, but it's something I noticed. It's there to report on. Why not say it? I know there's one of my viewers I've chatted with on another video that I made, and he talked about, or he asked me, I should say, he said, well, you know, I have the Arcam A5. I picked it up too. Maybe maybe we can share thoughts. And, you know, I hear what I hear, okay? And I hate to talk about a product and have it be in a negative light, but there again, I hear what I hear. I've played this thing for basically a month now, and I've been playing it every day, you know, 5-6 hours a day. You know, low volume. I do tend to be more of a low volume listener, but I have cranked it, you know, quite a few times. And I hear what I hear. And I hear this homogenization, this, especially in the mid-range. I also hear this sort of opaque kind of cloudiness across the speakers. As an example, the STR DH190, the basic entry-level Sony, for 150 bucks, has more clarity and more definition and allows you to see more tone in the mid-range than this thing does. That's, what, 5 times as expensive. You know what I'm saying? And I hate to say that because it sounds terrible, but and it doesn't sound good for the Arcam. The bass is probably its best attribute in terms of sound quality. If I had to pick one, it has a very locked-in bass, very rich, very muscular bass, more so than the Sony. But that's not a huge thing for me. For me, I want clarity across what I'm listening to, and this just made everything sound, Another big letdown was the phono stage. Now, what Hi-Fi and their review of the A5 talked about it as being, oh, well, we thought it could just be a throw-in, but no, actually it exceeded expectations. Okay. Why then does the phono stage in the Sony, and conversely in my C316 BEE version 2, both of those phono stages far eclipse what this is. You guys ever hear one of those really cheap kind of pile phono stages? This sounds just about like that, in my opinion. I'm playing it with 2 different turntables, my Radia. Also, I have a newer Technics. Well, it's not newer, but it's a Technics direct drive. And got both of those playing through the phono stage. I've got a Radia cart on the Radia, and then I have a Grado cart on the Technics. And it just doesn't sound good to me. It's not dynamic. It doesn't really flesh out those tonal colors and those kind of inflections of sound. It just sounds kind of plain Jane. And that goes back to the sound quality of the amp itself, in that it sounds sort of plain Jane. Would I recommend it? No, I wouldn't. Perhaps the step-up model, the 15, would be better. The A15 would be better, or maybe even the A25. But this sounds very vanilla. You know, I like a little color. I like my ice cream with sprinkles on the top. You know, that's what I want out of my music. That's what I want out of my hi-fi. And I want my hi-fi to give me that. And if it's not giving me that, then what's the point? I feel like I want to turn it off as opposed to listening to it. Now, don't get me wrong, it does have a very pleasant sound. It's very easy and mild to listen to, but I don't really think I want that. I want excitement. I want character. I want that's what I want out of my music. So What do you guys think? Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a lot of hate for my thoughts on this in this video, but I just report what I hear. Okay, it's a very subjective review. I'm not hooking this thing up to oscilloscopes or anything of the sort. It's a very subjective review. It's me reporting what I hear. And also, music is feeling. People forget that about the equipment that we use to reproduce our music. But music is feeling. And some equipment allows you to feel that feeling of music better. And this just doesn't. But anyway, peace out. Stay tuned. I've got a very interesting review coming up soon. So peace out.